Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Thank you for coming tonight. We start always with the salute of the flag.
You got it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Patinsky? Here. Mrs. Blomgren? Here. Mrs. Jagan? Mr. Cormack?
Here.
Mr. Conklin?
Here.
Mr. Merkel-Gum?
Here.
Mrs. Rash?
Here.
Mrs. Sharino?
Here.
And Mr. Rose?
Here. Everybody hear me okay? In the back? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to attend tonight's meeting. We appreciate your interest and support for our schools. I'd like to start tonight by focusing on what you can do to help our school. By attending or watching our meetings, I know you're the one who feels strongly about Penn Ridge and wanting to succeed. As you know, we face a budget shortfall this year, something we have not seen for quite a while. There are many reasons for this that I spoke about in last month's President's Report. Tonight, I'm asking for the public's help. As a community, we can make an impact on the costs that are driving this deficit. The first challenge we face is from the for-profit cyber schools that have placed an increasing burden on our school. This is not a question of school choice, but is a desire to have a more equitable funding structure from the state. As a result of an archaic funding formula first passed in 2002, many of the private cyber schools are making exorbitant profits from our tax dollars. There is an excellent report available on this issued by the Auditor General of Pennsylvania. I encourage you to read it. The link will be in my President's Report later. As an example, one of the more egregious payments of one cyber school, the Commonwealth Charter Academy, was a bonus paid to all staff in the amount of $23 million in one school year. In 2002, that was $7,000 per staff member. We obviously can't afford to do that. This is unbelievable to me. The school also provided $2.3 million in fuel stipends because gas prices went up. An additional $8.9 million was spent on advertising. These three costs alone were over 10% of the budget, of their total budget. They spend this money to avoid showing that they make a profit. As a community, we need to speak up to our state reps and senators to let them know this needs to be changed. They have the power to change this. Why would we sit by and let our taxes go up to fund these kind of frivolous costs? I urge you to contact your state rep and senator, demand that they fix this problem. I'm including their email addresses in my report to make it easier for you to contact them. Please don't sit and let this continue. You, the taxpayer, are paying for this. Make sure to share them with your network of friends and family. In speaking with an ex-lobbyist, your comment was that when large groups of people contact their representatives, they will take notice. The second thing I would like to discuss is the funds we receive from the federal government. Over the past few months, there has been a lot of uncertainty of how and when or how much funding we will get from the federal government. I've heard through the news that it was stated that, although not in writing, that the funds will still flow from the government. However, the past few weeks, I've become increasingly concerned that this may not be the case. I am on the IU board, the Intermediate Unit Board, and they found out recently that $800,000 of previously approved funding may not be forthcoming. The IU also learned that the Bucks County Head Start program is in doubt. This is a program that directly benefits all the districts in our county. Their contract with the government to run this program ends May 31st, and they have not heard if it will be renewed. This kind of uncertainty has an immediate effect on staff. Should they hope to get the funding, or should they start looking for another job? If we lose this funding, does the district have to make up that shortfall? And finally, even in our district, we are owed over $16,000 that is now put on hold, that was previously approved from the federal government. The reason I bring this up tonight is we will be voting on a resolution on school funding from the federal government. We are planning on sending this resolution, if approved, to our state representative and senators. We are asking them to advocate for us in all the districts to make sure the funding and services we receive from the federal government continue. To do nothing is to ignore the future consequences of reduced or eliminated funding and services. This goes directly against our sworn duty as board members. Simply saying, I expect the funding to continue is not a wise choice. As James Cameron stated, hope is not a strategy. As a board, we need to be clear that this is an important issue and we will not sit idly by without doing all we can to ensure our future. I also ask that you too contact your federal rep and senators and share your support for this resolution, including their email address and contact information in the President's report. Although these financial forecasts may seem dire, I remain confident in the strength and resilience of the Penn Ridge School District. Our students are still receiving a high-quality education. Our teachers, staff, and administrators continue to show up every day, undeterred, committed to delivering excellence. With our collective advocacy and engagement, I believe we can face these challenges head-on, protect the future of the district, and continue building a Penn Ridge that our community can be proud of. Thank you for standing with us. Tonight, the Penn Ridge School Board will vote on a significant step forward, the approval of the Memorandum of Understanding between the Penn Ridge School District and the Penn Ridge Education Association. There's a lot to say there. Regarding extra duty responsibility positions, or EDRs. If you're in the school district, you certainly know what that means. This is to pay for people who do extra things like coaching, tutoring, and things like that. This what we're voting on tonight should have been done 8 years ago, but it was continued to be pushed off. So as a result of that, in 8 years, anyone doing extra duty has not seen a raise here. Our board has insisted that it be finalized. This agreement represents a shared commitment to value the contributions, ensure fairness, and strengthen our support for the staff who go above and beyond for our students every day. On a more happier note, I had the privilege of attending the high school production of Les Mis this weekend. I hope you all had a chance to see it. It was the most amazing school musical I've ever seen. In fact, I can easily say it is on par with what you will see on Broadway. It was that good. I was struck by the immense talent of our students. The singing was extraordinary and very moving. The pit orchestra met the challenge of playing constantly throughout the entire show, and they were perfect. There are so many people to thank. I'd like to start by thanking and recognizing Krista Schmidt and Jen DeVosco for their tireless efforts in making this all happen. To the students who participated in this production, thank you for sharing your talents with our community. You should be extremely proud of what you have accomplished. I know I will never forget the show, so thank you. Now moving on to the superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Wurz, and I would like to echo Mr. Wurz's sentiments about Les Mis. So next month, actually May 12th, board meeting, we will honor the staff and the cast and all the musicians. So we will have them. We wanted to give them some rest after a few days of performance. So flag football. So a few months ago, the school board approved a girls' flag football team here, which is sponsored by the Philadelphia Eagles. So they paid for the initial startup costs. Paid for the coach for the first year. So I had the chance to watch the Lady Rams on their first game, so I want to give you some more information here. So if they could come forward while I read this. So a few months ago, the school board approved the first ever girls flag football team. They are gearing up for a playoff run, and we wanted to invite them to the meeting tonight so you could meet them and they could be recognized for making us Penn Ridge proud. This week they have two very important games against CB East and our biggest rival, Quakertown. And we just learned that 3 of these athletes will represent Penridge on an even bigger stage as some of the best female flag football athletes from the Philadelphia region. Sophia Roseca, Caitlin Peace, and Casey Peace. Could the 3 of you raise your hands so we can... I hear someone in the back. Hi to you as well. So I just wanted to get the team together. This is the first ever. Their coaches here as well. So thank you very much for joining us. We wish you all the best this week.
Congratulations, guys.
Another team that continues to make us proud is our Minithon folks. So if you guys would like to just come forward, and I'll keep reading. The Minithon team continues to make us proud. From the salient luminary event to the party-like atmosphere, the annual Minithon is always very impressive. But it doesn't just happen on its own. There's a focused group of students and staff behind the scenes. This year, the Minithon set a goal of raising $30,000 for the 4 Diamonds Foundation that battles pediatric cancer, and they are just shy of that goal. So this week, we will offer a district-wide dress-down day, as well as an electronic payment option to help them get close to their goal. If anyone here would like to donate, we'll gladly take your money for Diamonds. We're calling the day Penridge Day of Giving. We welcome the advisors, Ms. Nicole Gordienko, Allison Kearney, Megan Graham, and Leanna Goodrich, as well as many of the incredible students from the Minithon who make it all happen. So, excellent job. We couldn't be proud of each and every one of you for this noble cause. Thank you. Our next group will also be benefiting from Penridge Day of Giving this week. Incredible job. So will our unified sports team please come forward? April Showers is known by many as one of the best school days of the year. And a few weeks ago, the water cannons were turned on by our local fire departments, and hundreds of students ran through the rain as a fundraiser for the Unified Sports Program at Penridge. Organizers Jessica Ashlock, Angela James, Kristen Fennell, Jen Camerata, and Kathy Aquino led other staff and student leaders to make April Showers a memorable event for the past 5 years. They're joining us tonight to be recognized for everything they do to the Penridge community. So thank you very much. Excellent job. Thank you. David Ramirez Esquan, if you could come forward, please. He's a Penridge High School senior and also a student in the Healthcare Careers Program at the Upper Bucks County Technical School. He is also the Student of the Month. David moved to the United States from Peru 3 years ago with his parents and 2 sisters as his family sought a more significant opportunities for their future. David continues to flourish at the tech school. David continues to flourish at the tech school. He successfully earned his certified nursing assistant certification, and after graduation, he plans to attend the Bucks County Community College to pursue his licensed practical nurse certification, to become a registered nurse, and one day, possibly a doctor. So I'd like to just honor David. Congratulations to Mohil Mangrolia, Havish Vakaria, and Rehan Kumar. Please come forward for being congratulating them for being the best in Bucks. These 5th graders from Grass Elementary placed first at the Bucks County STEM competition at the Bucks County IU Fab Lab this month. This was one of 3 teams from Penridge in this awesome competition, also competing against all the other teams in the county. The boys' STEM idea was to develop a safe road infrastructure integrated with an energy-generating system utilizing pressure plates. They developed this idea based on the challenge where elementary and middle school students focus on industry, innovation, and infrastructure by designing a prototype that addresses a real-world problem related to infrastructure, transportation, or urban development. A special thank you to their teachers, Mrs. Lewis, Mrs. Jardine, Mrs. Gottschall, for teaching and cultivating their amazing STEM ideas. And I see they're joined by their principal tonight, Ms. Casey Plourde. Next up, the boys will now compete in the state finals in Harrisburg on May 9th. So we wish them all the best as they move forward. There's even more students to celebrate tonight from all of our elementary and middle schools. The Reading Olympics were a big success, so any students involved in Reading Olympics, please come forward. There are 25 books distributed every year by the Bucks County IU, and students spend months reading and preparing to compete in reading comprehension contests. Tonight we are honoring many of those students who discovered new books and made us Penridge proud. So this is just an outstanding accolade for our students and learning we're getting situated for a photo. Wide angle lens. Wide angle lens.
Move together, closer. Squeeze together. Squeeze together. All right, ready? Here we go. All right. Ms. Biff, can you move a little bit more? Thanks so much. You guys can move a lot of next to these guys. You four ladies, move here, please. Come here. Come on, that's it. That's it. And scoot down like this a little bit. There you go. There you go. Okay, we got it. Ready? Here we are. 1, 2, 3. We got it. Way to go, Ready to go, the bird.
A few weeks ago, we witnessed some incredible math skills from our elementary students. For the last 4 years, students have had the opportunity to compete in a Math 24 competition. Math 24 is a fast-paced and quick-thinking math game based on factoring the number 24. Trust me, these students are much better at it than most of us, including me. I got smoked by Alec last week. So tonight we welcome this year's winner, Alex Slutsky, a 5th grader from Diver, as well as other finalists, Mohil Mangrolia, Kaylee Gwynn from Grass, and Samuel Dunbar from Cider. So if you're here, please come forward. Excellent job. Next, we have some impressive students from Bedminster Elementary. Congratulations to Daniela Falcone, a 2nd grade student at Bedminster Elementary. Danielle, please come forward if you're here. Daniela's captivating artwork titled Falling Leaves was chosen for the 2025 Student Art Gallery at the Bucks County IU. Danielle is a very hardworking and diligent artist who says she feels joyful when making art. So I had the pleasure of joining Danielle and her family at the Bucks IU for this outstanding event. So every time I go there for my monthly superintendent's meeting, her photo or her artwork is right next to our office. So congratulations to her for this. Wait for a photograph real quick with Mom.
1, 2. Good job, man.
We are also excited to introduce to you 1st grader Carter Ryan, who finished 3rd place in the 1st place category of the Thompson Toyota Draw the Future contest. With an incredible 1,748 entries from across Bucks County, creativity was on full display, and Carter's artwork will proudly be displayed at Thompson Toyota in Doylestown. So here. TV's blocking me, so.
You just want to say hi.
I'll be over to Bedminster to see you soon. We also want to thank their art teacher, Sheena Tenney, for supporting and fostering creativity. To Daniela and Carter and all of the students. Before I move on, I look around the room, I don't have everyone's name written down, but we are joined by a lot of staff members and reading specialists and instructional coaches. So I thank you for coming out tonight to recognize our students. So Pennsylvania Agricultural Literacy Week is dedicated to fostering connections between agricultural community members and local classrooms to share the vital story of agriculture. This week we are pleased to welcome volunteer readers into our elementary schools where they engage students by reading a specially selected book focused on farming and agricultural themes. So Kathy Moyer, Kate Hedrick, Mark Sheets, Don Buckman, Bruce Weichel, and Kate Goldberg also enrich the experience by sharing their personal stories. If any of you are here, please come forward. Highlighting their involvement in agriculture, the programs they participate in, and their broader connections to the agricultural community. Joining us tonight are Don Buckman, Kathy Moyer, Mark Sheets, and Bruce Weichel. I don't see Don Buckman, but... So they read books to our students and donated those books to each elementary school. So we thank them very, very much.
Thank you so much.
And I see one of our guests just walked in. Mark Sheets, would you like to wave?
Oh,
in the back?
Mark.
Okay. There's Mark.
Come down, Mark.
Mark, come forward. Thank you, Mark. Yes. All right, do we have the Harris family here? Is the Harris family here? Okay. Oh, there they are. Please come forward.
Thanks for coming. Thank you.
So I'd like to take a moment to publicly recognize and thank the Harris family. Mr. Jimmy Harris, Mrs. Brenda Harris, and their 4 beautiful children, Emma, Ava, Noah, and Nora, for their tremendous support of the Penridge School District in our community. Last fall, the Harris family generously volunteered their time by bringing calves to Dibler Elementary School, providing our students with hands-on educational experience that they will not forget. I had the opportunity to meet Mr. and Mrs. Harris that day, who were both Penridge graduates, along with Bruce Weichel, who was just recognized. He brought some sheep to that event. Their kindness and willingness to support our students' learning inspired me to ask if I could one day visit their daily dairy operation. And they graciously welcomed me. So on a Saturday, I went over and I spent some time with the family, and I was just so impressed by this family that engages in this hard work of farming every day, and watching the operation was just incredible. And they were so welcoming to me, and I was able to feed one of the calves, and just they're just truly, truly a special family. And so I just wanted to thank them publicly for volunteering their time and educating our kids, and also recognizing Jimmy, as he was a star football player back in the day. He's very, very humble, and I actually visited the Green Jackets yesterday, and he was coaching his daughter's flag football team, and it's just really just a solid family, and I just wanted to publicly recognize them. Thank you. For all your Many of these stories and several others have also gotten the attention of our local and regional media partners. And Mr. Thomas will tell us a little more.
Thank you, Dr. Hurst. Whether it was a celebration of women in the workplace, an innovative way of replacing back to school night, the smiles and laughs at April showers, or how elementary school students are designing rockets with cups and rubber bands in STEM programs, and how high school students are collaborating with NASA. It's been another busy month full of PSD stories in the news, and you can see many of them there on your screen. Coming up in the next few weeks, we'll be working with our regional television stations to showcase that cricket club that we brought to you last month. And they're going to be hanging out at recess over at Grass and showcasing the cricket club and the opportunities that those students created for themselves at Grass. And speaking of stories, the spring edition of the Penridge Pulse newsletter, filled with great stories, submitted by our schools, will be going out on Wednesday of this week. And so we look forward to the Penridge Pulse. And he's going to kill me for this, but a few weeks ago, there was a title change around our place. And being our humble leader, he didn't want to draw any attention to himself, so I figured I'd draw it for him. And he just wanted to model lifelong learning, which is what we talk about a lot in education. He successfully defended his dissertation, and our superintendent has reached the pinnacle of lifelong learning in our educational field. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Dr. Angela Burke.
Mr. Thomas, I'm going to get you back for that one. There's a certificate up here, Mr. Thomas. Was that for the...
That's yours.
Oh, it's mine.
If you could go down for your photograph.
That was very kind of you. Thank you. So at this point, that wraps up the superintendent's report. As you can see, we have a lot that we should be proud of here in our Penridge community. And at this time, if folks or students, if you'd like to leave, this would be a good opportunity. Actually, we have a student council report. You can stay for that.
This won't take too long. But next up is the student liaison report. Brendan Gray. Sorry. You got it. You're up.
So to start with this being one of our last reports, I would like to say thank you to Isabella Clemens, who could not be here tonight, the support of administration, student council, and all teachers for all that they have done for us throughout the years. As a senior, I am extremely grateful to have been under the guidance of this wonderful staff throughout the entirety of my high school career. So thank you. As for May events from the student side, Student Council is planning a spring picnic, which we are looking forward to. It's going to be up at the stadium for 9th through 11th graders during their lunches. It's looking to be in the later half of May. It's going to be something really cool. We plan to have water ice, some yard games, and overall just a great summer event. That being said, we've also begun our officer elections for the next year, that being our elections for president, vice president, treasurer, corresponding secretary, and recording secretary.
Thank you.
In addition, we are also getting ready to send some of our students to the Pennsylvania Association of Student Council, or PASC's, Summer Leadership Camp. And this is a really exciting opportunity for members of our student council to participate in. It's about a week-long camp at Mount Loyalist College, and it pulls from student councils from all over Pennsylvania, bringing them together for a week of student council, leadership, and just really fun stuff. I remember my first time going, and I honestly have made lifelong friends, and it has been such an amazing experience. So we're getting ready to do that again, so it's really exciting. Next week is our Teacher Appreciation Week, so we have our chairs planning the special gifts and ideas for that. And lastly, our Mental Health Awareness Week is this week, ending with the SADS Club Suicide Prevention Walk this weekend at Hellman Stadium. School-wide, I'd like to shout out our theater program for the wonderful play. In addition, AP testing window has begun next week. I know that's a very big transition from, oh yeah, great play, to maybe testing, but that, in addition to our keystones, are all just a couple weeks away, so I know we're all very excited for that. In addition, the gifted New York City trip to the Intrepid Air and Space Museum is tomorrow. I am personally going on that, and I am really excited for that. That's going to be really cool. And then lastly, our 4th Career Artifact Day is on Wednesday, April 30th, during Rams time. As for our athletics, spring sports are doing very well, and it's very exciting that many of our teams are projected to make the playoffs all around as seasons begin to wrap up. Personally, I'm a member of our track team, and we have our Hellman Hosier Invitational coming up on Thursday, May 1st. Definitely should be there, and make sure to come to support your running, jumping, and throwing Rams. Finally, I can say for certain that all seniors are looking forward to the upcoming senior events, such as the senior picnic, sunrise, and much more, and especially for graduation on June 4th at 6 p.m. at the stadium. That's it for me. Thank you all. Thank you again for the support and everything that you've given me throughout my 4 years, and I'm really lucky to have you all, so thank you.
Thank you, Brendan. Moving on to public comment. According to policy number 903, public comment on matters of concern, official action or deliberation is limited to 3 minutes. It should be directed to the entire school board following the announcement of your name and municipality. Under this policy, the presiding officer has the authority to warn or stop a public commenter when violation of this policy occurs. First up is Jim Valletta. Sorry.
Good evening. I'm Jim Valletta from West Rock Hill Township. Speaking as PEA president, I want to express appreciation for the leadership of Dr. Barrios, Dr. Palmer, Mrs. Mossman, and Mr. Dauber, the cabinet members who worked with PEA on the MOU for EDR. I also appreciate the vision of Mr. Wirtz and Mrs. Sciarrino as board leaders. Without the persistence of the individuals I named, we would not be celebrating the passage of the EDR MOU tonight. This MOU is beneficial to all parties and represents real progress for the attraction and retention of the best employees in Penridge School District. Thank you for working with PEA to make significant improvements to EDR, as this directly benefits students, their families, and the entire Penridge community. By the way, I'm pleased to announce that PEA's membership ratified this MOU earlier today. Thank you for your leadership and courage. Thank you.
Lydia. Sorry, I didn't say your full name, Lydia Raymer Hunter. Sorry.
Good evening. Lydia Raymer Hunter, Percy Borough. I'm serving as Chief Negotiator for Penridge Education Association, and I also have 3 children here in the district, 2 at Guth and 1 at South. I would like to comment as well on the contract agreement that's before the board this evening to raise the pay for extra duty responsibility positions. First of all, adding my thanks to those of Jim's, for everyone in the cabinet who really worked through the details of this, spent a lot of hours with the spreadsheet, and it's really appreciated from all of you. Also to the full board, your support for our clubs, our activities, our sports shows through in a lot of ways. Of course, the clubs that are celebrated here every month really bring the student athletes and the student participants forward to showcase the great things they do and the great things that are offered to our students. Also at committee meetings, when there's a proposal for maybe an overnight club trip or a student activity account, the comments from board members are always so positive and open to new ideas for our students, and that really shows through. I was at the committee meeting a few months ago when flag football was announced, and the positive energy and response from the board to a completely new sport added shortly before the season started, and now we have the success of that team in their first season. So it's really great, and it's so positive for all of our students. My own children are in 2nd, 4th, and 6th, so they're just starting to be able to explore these things. My 4th grader did Reading Olympics and the Connects Club and all the music opportunities, and really enjoyed those. And then my 6th grader is starting to move into the middle school realm and was able to be part of the jazz band this year and also the color guard, which runs 6 through 12. And so it's really cool to see her be able to be mentored by some of our older high school students as she moved into a 6 through 12 activity. I also love to bring my students, my kids, to watch our Penridge shows. And I was at Les Mis this last weekend, and I just want to repeat for everyone who didn't see it, it was absolutely amazing. They did such a wonderful job. And so my last thanks goes out to all of our great coaches, advisors, and the directors of our music programs. They do such a great job for our students and make such wonderful opportunities. So as a parent and a coworker, thank you all. It's really appreciated.
Brian McMullen.
Good evening, Brian McMullen, East Rock Hill. I'm going to speak tonight on the proposed modifications to policy 235.1 on pupil surveys, which is up for second reading tonight. I want to start with the implied consent from parents and the option to opt out on an individual survey basis. I know this has been brought up several times before, but the only answer that I've seen come from the board is it's a simple process to opt out. What's so hard about that? You're correct. It's not that hard. Unfortunately, how simple a task is doesn't define whether it's legal or not. Parents have enough to do as it is, and you're adding one more task to that ever-growing list for the sole benefit of your agenda. In this proposal of 235.1, it clearly states that the district will adhere to the Federal Protection of Pupil Rights Act. I'd also like to point out that the PA State Code 22, subsection 4.4 is consistent with the federal code dealing with student surveys. This is directly from the Federal Protection of Pupil Rights Act regarding limits on surveys. No student shall be required to submit to a survey that reveals information concerning any of the following without the prior written consent of the parent of a minor. I'm only going to call out a few of the 8-line items that are prevalent throughout the PACE survey. There's mental or psychological problems of the student or the student's family, illegal, antisocial, self-incriminating, or demeaning behavior, and critical appraisals of other individuals with whom the respondents have close family relationships. Now here's a few of the questions from the 2021 and 23 PACE survey. How many times in the past 12 months have you done anything to harm yourself, such as cutting, scraping, burning, as a way to relieve difficult feelings or to communicate emotions that have been difficult to express verbally? Do you feel very close to your mother, to your father? How wrong do your parents feel it would be for you to have 1 or 2 drinks of an alcoholic beverage, such as beer, wine, or hard liquor, such as vodka, whiskey, gin, or rum, nearly every day? How wrong do your parents feel it would be for you to use prescription drugs not prescribed to you? How many times in your lifetime have you used marijuana, pot, hash, cannabis, or weed, or used synthetic drugs such as bath salts, K2, Spice, Mr. Smiley, or Blaze? That's a great Google search list to drop on middle schoolers, right? The answer to these questions clearly qualifies protected information for minors and therefore require prior written consent from the parent, not implied consent until otherwise notified. Also, in the PPRA, under development and adoption of local policies, it stated that the district shall develop and adopt policies in consultation with parents. I'd like to know what you've done to develop this specific policy with the parents. Was there a survey sent out asking them how they would like the opt-out process to work, or is this just another one of your personal agenda items that you're trying to slip by overwhelmed parents in a blatant attempt to data mine our children? On a related note, I Googled slang terms for the synthetic drug names from one of my children's school-issued laptops. I was able to get specific information on what they are, how to obtain the ingredients, or where to purchase them outright. Thank you.
Heather Young.
Heather Young, Silverdale. So I just wanted to come tonight and thank all of you who have supported and will support tonight the resolution. You were elected to represent the best interest of public education, our public education. And in such uncertain times where the threats and promises regarding funding shift weekly, I feel the proactive approach is needed and it's super appreciated. When the attacks began on higher education, many fearfully bent the knee till 1, then 2, then 170 institutions stood together. And I do hope that other Bucks County public school districts will join your lead in using your voice to impress upon our representatives the importance that we maintain our public education funding. Real quick, I hadn't planned on commenting on the PACE survey. I do find some concerns to be valid. I have children of all different ages, but I respect the goal of the data that PACE surveys provides educators and mental health professionals. And I also take accountability for my role as a parent to recognize the ease of opting out, the ease of knowing which one of my children's at which grade levels I'd be comfortable with taking that survey, and the responsibility as their parent falling to me to pay attention and choose to opt them out. I do find it somewhat comically ironic that those who are opposing the PACE survey also regularly herald themselves as the party who loves our first responders and loves the police the most. Now, it's an untrue claim, as both do, but for them to attack a survey that is sponsored by the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency, that offers trainings to law enforcement and supports the hiring of SROs, it just seems so counter to their usual messaging. But thank you, that's all I have to say, and keep up the good work.
Vera Cole? Vera, is that correct?
Hi, I'm Vera Cole, West Rock Hill Township. My comments tonight are in regards to the resolution to protect public education. First of all, I'd like to offer my sincere thanks to the board for your time and service to our community. It was a delight seeing all the happy kids here tonight. It's beautiful. Like many residents of the school district, I have not and do not have children attending Penridge schools. But of course, I pay my share of school taxes. A neighbor commented to me recently about paying for schools when she herself had no kids, and I said, "Who paid for your school?" And we laughed and agreed we're all paying it forward. Seriously, it's one of the most important things we do for the next generation. Having said that, we do expect our tax money to be used wisely and in responsible cooperation with state and federal funding. Supporting strong schools is something we do together for all children and for many good reasons. I attended public school in South Carolina from 1966 to 1978. I was in the 4th grade when our long segregated schools were integrated. The change was hard. I witnessed violence, yet we were soon classmates, teammates, and friends. In high school, I played basketball and field hockey. The girls' basketball team was not allowed to practice in the gym after school because the boys needed it. We had to practice before school, and those who rode a bus to school had to find some other way to get there or else not play. The girls' field hockey team wasn't allowed to use the school fields at all. The boys needed them. We had to drive ourselves and find rides to a college in the area and use a field they made available to us as a favor. Can you imagine any of that now? As they say, we've come a long way, baby. Today, I have a special needs niece in public school getting the support and attention she needs to thrive. She was just chosen from the entire student body for a Student Excellence Award. In my day, she would have been out of sight and minimally supported. As we stand now at a crossroad for the role of federal funding and institutions in public education, I fear many, many worthy gains will be allowed to slip away. I invite us all to put partisan politics aside and take a moment to remember how far we've come and to recognize the essential role federal funding, protection, and policy has played. Excellent local schools are life-changing for children, are important local employers, and are a major factor in the local economy, community safety, and property values. And excellent schools don't just happen, as you all certainly know. They are the result of strong leadership and funding at all levels, local, state, and federal. As the federal budget process moves forward, our elected representatives need to hear from us about what matters to us. I've had an opportunity to read the resolution to protect public education. It's the resolution that will be proposed here tonight simply requests that our elected officials support the continuation of necessary funding, services, and protections to public education. I hope that you will support it. I certainly do. Thank you.
Hello, Kim Badillion, Percy Borough. My comment pertains to the proposed board resolution and letter that is on the agenda for approval. I am disheartened by the actions of the recently elected board members who portrayed themselves as nonpartisan and apolitical during the election, but who now appear to be engaging in a blatantly political endeavor. Simply put, this resolution politicizes education. It demands that fellow board members and specific elected officials pledge allegiance to a narrow viewpoint without leaving room for a real debate about how to best serve the educational needs of all of our children. To be clear, the President has issued an executive order seeking to funnel taxpayer funds out of the bloated and ineffective Department of Education and into the states where decisions can be made closer to the community served. Despite the allegations in the resolution, the President has been clear that the closing of the Department of Education does not mean cutting off funds for those who depend on them. In a recent press release, Linda McMahon, the Secretary of Education, stated, quote, "We will continue to support K-12 students, students with special needs, college student borrowers, and others who rely on essential programs," end quote. Since the Department of Education was founded in 1979, $3 trillion of taxpayer money has been spent without improving student achievement as measured by the Standardized National Assessment of Education Process scores. Math and reading scores are down in public schools despite per pupil spending having increased by more than 245% since the 1970s, indicating that more spending does not necessarily lead to a better educational outcome. While I strongly support high-quality education for every child, this resolution is misleading and counterproductive. It assumes that the only way to protect education is to continue pouring money into a broken system without asking whether the system is actually serving students well. It paints any attempt at reform as an attack on public education itself. Protecting bureaucracy is not the same as protecting students. I ask the board to reject this resolution and instead to commit to creating an environment that allows for open dialogue, encourages criticism with an eye towards spurring innovation, and which demands real accountability. Thank you.
Kevin Foster.
Kevin Foster, Hilltown Township. I'm a dad of two at Grass Elementary and one at Central Middle School. I'm a proud husband of a public educator, and I wanted to start by saying I care deeply about public education and I believe in this school district. I wanted to also start out with a quote. Society's respect for teachers, reflected in reasonable compensation and professional autonomy, is the measure of its commitment to education. Robert Sternberg. I am proud that this district has a commitment to education and to its staff. They are the heartbeat of Penn Ridge. I'm excited to see tonight the increase of long overdue extra duty responsibility compensation. For 8+ years, our previous board majority never increased compensation to our staff for the extra hours they spend with our kids at band concerts, directing our plays, and leading our sports programs. My son Justin, who's sitting in the audience, was celebrated tonight for Reading Olympics, and I am extremely grateful to the staff members. Shout out to Mrs. Iacavola and Ms. Hayes, who are my son's team advisors, who spent time out of their schedules to make the event a resounding success. And also, not just because Grass Elementary took #1 and #2 in the final standings. Go Bulldogs. My oldest daughter, Jessica, is a soccer player. She was so excited to move to 7th grade last fall, since it would be her first opportunity to play JV soccer for Central. Unfortunately, it was announced early in the season that she did not have a coach. She was devastated. I'm eternally grateful that Coach Bob Steen agreed to come out of retirement for one more season. Unfortunately, other middle schools did not have the same good fortune Central did. Without these valuable staff members, we would not have the programs that make our district so proud. In order to have these programs, we need to compensate our staff fairly. Previous boards showed no interest, constantly shortchanging our staff and instead bragging how they never raised taxes by making our staff the lowest paid in all of Bucks County. I am proud to see this new board finally show our staff the respect they deserve and get EDR changes done. Bravo.
Tom Troutman.
Good evening, Tom Trotter, East Rock Hill Township. Bear with me here. I am still in awe, I think, of the performance that I saw yesterday afternoon at the high school's performance of Les Mis. Master of the house, master and a half. Comforter, philosopher, don't make me laugh. Servant to the poor, butler to the great. Anyone that saw the high school's production of Les Mis can clearly see the talent that has been fostered, taught, and instilled in our students by the teachers, staff, and community members of this great district. Over the last several years, my 3 children have participated in Reading Olympics, Math 24 Club, Jazz Band, Honors Band, Track and Field, and the School Safety Program. Each of these programs falls under the extra duties responsibility. As a district, it's time we raise our glass to the true masters of our house and show them our appreciation by approving the EDR addendum. I also want to add my support to the resolution that will be discussed tonight. I have spent a lot of time over the last 2 years advocating for the aging population of this great Commonwealth. By meeting with our elected state reps, state senators, and other legislative staff, I have witnessed the power of advocacy. Thank you.
Jonathan Russell.
Jonathan Russell, Hilltown Township. I'm here again to speak on policy 235.1. And I feel as though you may be asking, why am I speaking on this for the 3rd time now? But I think it's important. It is a big deal. It's a big deal because it feels like every time the board majority is faced with a decision between parents' rights and something else, it's always the something else that gets the preferred treatment and the parents that get the shaft. Whether it was the change you made in bathroom and locker room policy or the change you made to advocacy policy regarding indoctrination, and now the change to the survey policy. For whatever reason, this board is choosing to make it easier for third-party survey providers and harder for parents. It's really odd to me. I know that we have stated publicly that opting out is simple, but it's not the reality. The last time we had the opt-out policy, which was not even a policy, it was a provision that was followed, Mrs. Serino initially missed the opt-out email. It went into her junk email folder. Other parents had to tell her when the email was sent in order for her to find it. And when it was indicated that the opt-out process was understandably easily missed by most parents, she agreed 100%. If a good mom and a proactive parent, like our current school board vice president, will miss the opt-out emails, what hope is there for the rest of us? Additionally, another proactive parent, a member of the PTO at the time, opted her daughter out at the same survey, and yet the school still made her daughter take it. Understandably, she was, quote, beyond upset, end quote, as this was both a violation of federal law and her parental rights. I would again ask that if you're moving forward with this policy, that you make it opt-in instead of opt-out. Opt-in is safer regarding federal compliance, and the opt-out option just seems like you're being sneaky a little bit, as if you're hoping that most parents are not paying attention. Additionally, if your intent is changing this policy is to only have it apply to the PAYS survey, then change the policy to state that. Say it's just for PAYS. Unfortunately, as written, the proposed policy would allow for a multitude of third-party surveys, not just PAYS. And I sent to the board the survey that Commonwealth of Massachusetts is using, and that is really questions that are completely inappropriate. And if your intention is to provide all third-party survey questions to parents in advance, then change the policy to state that. Unfortunately, as written, the proposed policy requires parents to make a written request to see the questions. And if the intention that you have is to allow surveys to be administered during non-instructional periods and to take no more than 45 minutes at tops, then change the policy to state that. Unfortunately, as written, the proposed policy has no limitation on how long or restrictions on when such surveys can be administered. Finally, as to the underlying idea of using our district resources and paying our teachers to serve as proctors for outside surveys, it's just not a good use of limited school assets, as you simultaneously talk about raising our taxes. If you lack the courage to even eliminate unnecessary uses of school funds, how can we trust you to make the hard decisions when it comes to balancing our budget? Thank you.
Nathaniel Affirm. Nathaniel? Thank you.
Nathaniel Fever, Dublin, PA. Don't worry, I'm not here to talk about surveys. With Teacher Appreciation Week right around the corner, I think it's important to remember that the impact that teachers have on their students lives long after they leave the classroom. As a proud graduate of Penridge of class of 2005, I have some names that have stuck with me for almost 30 years. I remember as far back as second grade, my teacher, Mrs. Brady, who made me love school while I was in her class, simply by being a warm, kind person who showed endless patience for the boy who struggled to sit still. For the sake of time, I have to skip to 9th grade. In what used to be the freshman center, I had a teacher, Mr. Roth, who deepened my love for social studies and insisted that every one of his students would know the 50 states after he had argued with the Postal Service worker who tried to charge him international shipping to send a package to New Mexico. His practical approach and passion for his subject were contagious in the extreme, and was also the classroom where I sat and watched history unfold when the Twin Towers fell. Throughout high school, I went to Upper Bucks Area Vocational Technical School for welding. My teacher, Jeff Schmoyer, taught me so much more than just the skills of the trade. His patient, calm, and down-to-earth approach to learning inspired me to want to learn more, to do better every day I showed up to class. As a disenfranchised student who thought college wasn't in the cards for me, this love of pure, raw learning was as precious as it was rare. But it has lingered in me since then. He didn't coin the pearls of wisdom he often dropped, but he was certainly the carrier of the message, work smarter, not harder, that has made me approach problems from different angles rather than just beating my head against them. Miss Young, a new teacher at the time, if I remember correctly, taught English when I was in 10th grade. Again, I was a disenfranchised student, so I often slept in her class, but she never stopped trying to reach me. I remember her very well because at the time, many of us tech school kids felt like we were the castaways, like our education didn't matter. After all, we were just going to go in the trades anyway. She came to the tech school one time to get photos of us, showed an interest in our skills and knowledge outside of the traditional academic type. I believe she was doing it to feature us in the school paper, but what I do remember is when she came to my welding class, I was in the middle of repairing a toy for the daycare to the school that the school ran. She asked to take my photo, asked what I was doing, and showed a genuine interest in the answers, which allowed me to show an interest in her class too. My daughter will be a Penridge student next year, and I'm excited to think that she may find herself in Miss Young's classroom one day. For Teacher Appreciation Week, I want to recognize these Penridge teachers who made who made an impact on my life, many of whom probably don't even know it. Thank you to them, and thank you to all the teachers who are making a positive difference in their students' lives.
Dan Bevernitz. Did I get that right? Close enough. Sorry.
Should be required to print clearly.
Dan Bevernitz, Hilltown. Mr. Wirtz, thank you for your message today. I too worry greatly about the money siphoned away from our community to companies under the guise of education. I want to further add that these interested in alternative learning options take a look at Penridge's own cyber options. I think anyone interested in that path would find the school's program more than competitive with a personalized touch and community roots not found elsewhere. In addition to our phenomenal cyber education staff, I would also like to take a moment to thank our teachers, staff, and volunteers. Thank you for your incredible work. It is appreciated more than I can say. Today I'd like to thank you and remind our community that it's not just the work you do throughout the school day that makes such a difference in our students' lives, but all the extra work, the time, and planning that make you all integral to our community. For the late nights you give to our students, the nights awake you plan and revise, the lunch breaks you sacrifice, the extra, the above, and beyond. This EDR increase is overdue, but our appreciation to you is lasting. Thank you.
Laura Foster.
Hey, Laura Foster, East Rock Hill Township. I'm the parent of 3 Penridge kids, and I'm a graduate of Penridge as well. I want to thank the board members who brought forward the resolution to protect public education. This shouldn't be a controversial issue. Protecting public education is your duty, and it is why you are here. Tonight, every one of you should be voting yes. And when you hear members squirm and pick apart wording or deliver lofty speeches about personal freedoms, or whatever the new McMahon tactic is, pay attention, and then ask, why would anyone be against protecting public education? If you're not sure, Google the 1776 Commission. Remember Vermillion? Vermillion is gone from Penridge, but its toxic agenda, defunding and dismantling public schools, is still alive and well. That's the real goal here, is to weaken schools like Penridge so public money can be funneled into private, for-profit charter schools and online academies, the same schools that some of our board members choose for their own children. Here's the truth. If you don't trust Penridge enough to send your own kids here, you shouldn't be trusted to make decisions for ours. Over the past 8 years, the old board stirred up fear about trans kids and woke teachers, all the while they were bleeding Penridge dry. Today, we are still the second lowest paying district for teachers in Bucks County. We lost nearly 20% of our teachers between 2021 and 2024 because they couldn't afford to stay here. Elementary schools like Booth, Sellersville, and Bedminster still don't have full air conditioning in 2025. Meanwhile, the old board bragged about not raising taxes, even as they let critical infrastructure rot. And now, unbelievably, some of the same people who presided over that disaster are trying to crawl back into this board. Supporting this resolution tonight is not just symbolic, it's essential. If we allow the weakening or defunding of public education, will have devastating consequences. Students with special needs will lose critical services and supports they depend on. Title I funding will be at severe risk, meaning larger class sizes, fewer resources, and widening achievement gap for our most vulnerable students. Overall education opportunities for students will diminish, hitting underserved communities the hardest. You can either stand for public education, or you can stand against it. There's no middle ground. We are watching and we will remember, and we're not going anywhere. And for those of you that don't understand how surveys work, children aren't disclosing anything. PACE is anonymous. Show me one study that shows any kind of link between asking questions about substance use or suicide and a contagion factor. You can't because it doesn't exist. PACE lets us as a school see where there are needs and to address them. Thank you.
Carly Taylor.
Hello, my name's Carly Taylor. I'm from Hilltown. I wanted to speak this evening to show support for the proposed extra duties responsibility increase. I believe extracurriculars at PSD are not only essential programs for students, but for all Penridge residents. Robust extracurricular activities enrich our students' lives and grow community. Events such as sporting games, concerts, and theater performances bring people together to connect and take pride in their community. From women's high school soccer state champs to the incredible production of Les Mis that I saw with my family this weekend. These things are a part of what makes Penridge a great place to live. Programs like Thon, Fish, Key Club provide valuable services to support our neighbors and teach our kids about compassion and dedication. STEM clubs like Robo-Rams allow our students to innovate and imagine new possibilities beyond their in-class studies. Extracurricular activities don't just help our students learn and grow outside of the classroom, they also provide future opportunities such as job offers and scholarships. 10 years is too long without an increase for our EDR staff, and I believe this investment is essential if we want to see continued successes. It is not only in the best interest of our students, but the entire Penridge community to ensure the people who coach and teach extracurricular activities are at least minimally compensated. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to number 6, a resolution approved. I will open it up to Questions or comments? Or oh, yeah, actually, I do need a motion first before I do that. I'll make a motion to approve the number 6, the resolution for public funding. I need a second.
Second.
Now I can take questions or comments.
I want to put it out as to what my original call was, and I've talked to a significant number of people who have representatives in Washington and in Harrisburg, and the state's not ready to take over the responsibilities of the federal government, despite what rhetoric is being used about funding and how it's going to be reallocated and moved around. Any disruption is going to take a significant amount of time to be reinvested back in through the state level, and that's going to be a detriment for our students. I care passionately about the special needs community and making sure that the funding is there for them. I worry about IDEA being gutted. This is just one of those things where I think, as per policy 001, we have an obligation to work on behalf of the district and work with our state and federal legislators. It's right there in a policy that we've adopted as a school board. So that was my thinking behind it. I hope everybody will support this resolution. I mean, it's basically just calling for our state representatives, both in the House and the Senate, to get behind funding. We have a big gap to make up, and it could get worse. So that was my thinking behind the resolution.
Other comments?
I'll comment. So I mentioned this when we spoke this past week about it, but my feeling is if you feel, urgency to contact our legislators on this issue, by all means, you should individually. I believe that's everyone's right. To be frank, for myself, I feel like this resolution is being blown out of proportion. One example is the Head Start program that was mentioned earlier. I appreciate, Ron, you sent us feedback from the IU, from the assistant executive director, where they spoke about the federal Head Start grant generally runs in 5-year cycles. And the 5-year grant expires on May 31st, 2025 of this year, which I know is coming up, but it's still a whole month away. It was also mentioned that they did receive information on April 16th from a Head Start program specialist that the IU will receive continuation funding to keep programs open until the end of the school year in June and until a decision is made about the next Head Start grant. However, the Bucks IU has not received this information in writing or through the formal grant award process. But originally it was like the sky was falling, and then it was a few days later that they got information from a Head Start program specialist. I just wanted to continue with the fact that the dismantling of the Department of Education is not a new idea, and the American public voted for this idea. But I agree that Pennsylvania will have to step up. It also won't be wiped off the books by an executive order. That has to come from Congress. And it says specifically in Bill H.R. 899, titled to determine the Department of Education. It was introduced on January 31st, 2025, and it states that this bill terminates the Department of Education December 31st, 2026, and is in the introduction stage. I would like to quote President Trump on March 21st about this issue, and he said that 2 key functions of the agency will be moved to new departments. The Small Business Administration will take on student loans, and the Department of Health and Human Services will take on special needs and nutrition efforts. The President also stated that the core functions would remain intact, specifically stating that Pell Grants, Title I, funding resources for children with disabilities and special needs will be preserved, fully preserved. I want to continue that I don't look at this as other members of the board have been looking at it. To me, again, it's not like the sky is falling. I'm excited for this move to the states, and I truly believe that the funding will be secured. I look at it like we truly have an opportunity here to truly start acting like a local entity and be more individualized for our student needs. Now, instead of having massive bureaucracy decide what is best for Penn Ridge students, we have the opportunity to make more decisions on a local level. To look at the resolution and the letter specifically, there are words like very concerned with the continuation of funding and services from the federal government. We would be forced to raise local taxes, fewer resources, inadequate funding would also force painful budget cuts and jeopardize critical programs. But I'll end with, and I know this will be controversial, but if you are truly concerned about Penn Ridge not receiving funding, then why have we not brought up complying with Title IX? We could potentially lose our funding with our open bathrooms at this time. There's been new guidance out there that specifically states, I have that quoted, I won't continue, but that's something I can send the board from the Department of Justice website. Thank you.
Nobody else? Anybody else would like to say something?
I've got one.
Okay.
I'm often cautious about the actions such as the resolution that we are discussing tonight, but I intend to support it and lend my vote to it. I would encourage everyone on this stage to do the same, especially because we are already seeing the effects of some of this funding issues here at Penn Ridge and at the IU. Each of us up here has a moral responsibility to provide and defend education for every student who walks through the doors of Penn Ridge. Anyone who works in education, and everyone else has learned in the post-COVID era, that even small disruptions to student educational experiences can have long-lasting impacts that we at the time do not predict. This resolution merely seeks to prevent further disruptions to children's schoolings and to protect the taxpayers of Penn Ridge. Recently, our own congressional representative Brian Fitzpatrick likened what has been happening with federal funding in other sectors to a librarian knocking all the books off of a library shelf, then picking them up one by one and determining whether or not to put them back. This community has always valued process, and what we seek here tonight is the protection of fair process in order to ensure and protect the future of our children. And I ask that everyone up here do the same.
I just wanted to add my comments that I agree we should be advocating for our district, but I believe we should be doing that at the state level. And I don't have the resolution in front of me, but when I reviewed it last night, it was our federal legislators that were listed there. Mr. Wers wrote a really good op-ed about our charter school funding, which is a state issue. And I encourage you all to check it out and to contact your state legislator. And speaking of COVID, it was not that long ago that our governmental authorities shut down our schools and our children suffered tremendous learning losses, social losses, and has deeply affected the mental health and wellness of our students. And many in this community and some on this board shouted during public comment periods that we should trust the authorities and go along with that. And now when our authorities are trying to return educational power to the states, those same individuals don't want to let that process play out. Again, I support us focusing our efforts on the state level. Keep in mind Mr. Daubert's comments from our last Finance Committee meeting about how the district is mandated to do so many things on the expenditure side by the state. Pensions, charter school tuition funding, and special education, but we are restricted in our ability to raise taxes to support those same mandates.
May I just ask Mr. Daubert, you might have a better idea than any of the rest of us. Has the state been able to fulfill its obligation under the Supreme Court, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruling for fair funding?
You saw 1 year of increased funding last year. That is a year-by-year funding stream. It is yet to be seen whether that increased funding is included in the 25-26 state budget or not. And it was done at on a stepping basis. So the first step was in your state budget.
I mean, I've talked to board members from different boards throughout eastern Pennsylvania. One of my former employers is actually on the school board in the Jim Thorpe region, and they have not yet seen an allocation according to the state Supreme Court's fair funding ruling. That would be a significant increase. So if the state itself is unable to even allocate the money that they're required to by the state, I can't imagine that they have any ability to be able to pick up the slack where we would have to make up $3 million for our own district. The state can't handle what they're required to do by the state constitution, let alone have to absorb the federal money. So.
Anyone else with comments? Yeah, hold on, I gotta switch on the speakers. Go ahead, try that.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, very well.
Good. And thank you everyone for your comments. I am a bit alarmed of the lack of understanding around public education from some board members. The state's always had control of our education. The funding from the government, from federal funding, gets passed through to the state and distributed that way. So I just want to make sure the community has the correct information. Second, I want to thank Mr. Kaufman for drafting this resolution. I firmly support it. There are our responsibilities as individual individual citizens, but as elected officials, our own board policy that everyone up here agreed to uphold states that we will reach out to legislators and maintain that element of communication for these exact purposes. They aren't the ones on the ground. They aren't the ones in the schools who will be raising the flags. It's us. It's how our government is set up, and there's a reason behind it. If this is to continue to erode public education, because I agree, any gap in payment or delay is a potential loss for students in our district. I don't think that eroding our informed electorate is good for our democracy. It actually just causes further division. And our public schools are critical in upholding our democracy. It should be everyone's manifest to support this. Public schools are a microcosm of society. It's where children learn to understand the experience and rights of others. And it helps students internalize the idea that respecting others' rights is the cornerstone of a functioning democracy. Thomas Jefferson believed the educated populace was essential to safeguard democracy and advocated for free public education, arguing that informed citizens would be better equipped to participate in democratic governance and guard against tyranny. I feel board members who do not support this are turning a blind eye to what has been currently happening with other federal funding cuts in other areas. And to me, that is very disappointing. We've seen it when other areas have been cut, the delays in funding, even if it's just the money being moved to another department or to the state level, there is not a preparedness to distribute that money in a timely manner. So even if that is all we're asking, because the resolution, if you read it recently, doesn't reference the Department of Education, and it says we'll also hand it to state representatives also. But what it talks about is their commitment to not allow gaps in funding no matter where this money goes and how it flows to the schools. Thank you.
Anyone else? I just wanted to add a few things then. I think it's sad that we can't all support this. This is not a political thing. If you look carefully, there's no mention of the Department of Education in the resolution. It's about, to me, it's a financial issue. And to say, I'm hopeful that it will continue. The IU's out $800,000. They're potentially losing $5 million for a Head Start program. These people at their board meeting, they're close to panicking. They're really worried that people will, A, look for another job because they might not have one come June. So this kind of lack of support or pushing for these funds is a serious business. So it has nothing to do with whether the Department of Education exists or not. It has to do with whether we get the funding from the government. Even if we lose half that funding, it's a full tax increase to our district. So when I look at this, I look at it from a purely financial standpoint. And if we can't even agree to a letter saying, this is important to us and send it to our reps, then that's pretty sad. So it is important. It's important from a financial standpoint. And, with the amount of cuts, just moving to another department risk delaying that payment for months at a time, which would have a severe financial impact. So that's all. Any other questions or comments? We'll do a roll call vote.
Just as an aside, before we move on, I'd just like to mention, Leah forgot my favorite founding father on this issue, which is George Washington's farewell address, which is promote them as an object of primary importance, institutions for the general diffusion of knowledge. In proportion as the structure of the government gives force to public opinion, it is essential that public opinion should be enlightened. Sorry, social studies teacher in me.
Roll call vote.
Ms. Patisky?
No.
Mrs. Longren?
No.
Mrs. Jenkins, I'm here. Mr. Cormack?
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman?
Yes.
Mr. Merkel-Gump?
Yes.
Mrs. Rash?
Yes.
Mrs. Serena?
Yes.
And Mr. Wirtz?
Yes. Motion passes 6-2.
And I just want to jump in. I want to express my gratitude to the board and our educators, our families and communities, and the pride in the decision that we made by passing this resolution. Public education is the foundation of opportunity, and it's where dreams are sparked and where potential is nurtured, where every child, no matter their background, their circumstances, or their story, has the right to learn, grow, and thrive. By passing this resolution, we've reaffirmed our commitment to that sacred promise. This action is more than just words on a page. It's a statement of values. It says loudly and clearly that our public schools matter, that our teachers matter, and that our students matter, and that we as a community will stand up for them. I want to thank each of you that voted for this, for the thoughtfulness, courage, and the heart that you brought to this decision. And I also want to thank our community members, parents, students, and teachers who never stop reminding us of what's at stake. Your voices and presence make a difference. We know that public education faces challenges, but today we chose not to shrink from them. We chose to defend what we know is right and essential for the future of our children. This resolution is a promise that we will continue to protect, invest in, and champion the district that belongs to all of us. It's a commitment to excellence and the belief that every child deserves a chance to succeed. So I want to thank everybody again for standing together and choosing the courage, choosing hope, and for choosing to defend the heart of our community, which is our public schools here in Penridge.
And one other thing, I challenge everybody who's still watching at home and still here to participate in this, as the more people who reach out to our reps and the more people who reach out to their senators, the more traction we get on this. So it's not just coming from us. This means something. Coming from our constituents means even more. Thanks. All right, moving on to the consent calendar. I'd like to make a motion to approve items A through I. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Gump. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes 8-0. Moving on to facilities, Mr. Kaufman.
So the Facilities Committee meeting was held on April 14th, 2025. We had a discussion about the RFPs for maintenance and transportation uniforms, the emergency generator inspection service, and pest control. And we also reviewed obsolete items, which was high school athletic equipment. So I am looking for a motion to approve items B and C.
I need a second.
Second.
Ms. Sharina? You're saying the motion B and C. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes. Did you say something? Leah, did you say something? She said aye. Motion passes 8-0, sorry. Go ahead.
So the next facilities committee meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, May 6, 2025.
Moving on to finance. Let's see. First up is the approval of contracts.
Isn't there one more?
I think he did all three. in one.
Wait, but A, the motion to
A, B.
approve obsolete items?
Yes, we did that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I misunderstood that. Just he was doing not the ABC on the one, it was ABC on the whole. It's confusing. There's multiple ABC.
Okay, so we got them. Okay.
I missed that too. Okay, approval of contracts. I'd like to make a motion to approve items A through O.
Second.
Ms. Sharina, second. And any questions or comments on any of these? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, sorry. Did I miss one?
Do I have an old agenda? It
Well,
doesn't go to P?
No,
ESS Northeast?
That was O.
that's
Okay, sorry. I'll go to the update.
All right, let's start that over.
I'll go to the update.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes 8-0. We have one new club up for, that is the motion to approve the Student Activity Club EPIC, Musical Junior Digital Production Club. Any questions, or need a second? Somebody?
Second.
Second, Mr. Gum? Shouldn't have to ask for a second. You know that.
Sorry.
Just do it. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes 8-0. The next Finance Committee meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, May 6, 2025. Up next is Personnel. Ms. Batisky.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. We held a Personnel Committee meeting on April the 14th, and the minutes are attached here in the agenda. One of the items we discussed was several job descriptions, which are on the agenda for tonight. So I'll make a motion to approve job descriptions A through K. Most of them are secretarial positions, except for the first one, which is the Director of Teaching, Learning, and Assessment.
I'll second.
Second, Ms. Blomgren. Any questions or comments?
I'll just make a comment of thanks, because I know it takes a lot of time to update all the job descriptions, but I think it's necessary and it makes it thorough, so thank you. I appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those against? Motion passes 8-0.
Next, we have approval of tenure recommendation. And as a reminder to everyone, a professional employee obtains tenure after completing 3 successful years of employment within the district. This month, we are proud to recognize Brian Storm, teacher here at the high school, for achieving tenure. Brian has demonstrated a strong commitment to our students and community. We're pleased to celebrate this milestone in his career. I make a motion to approve tenure recommendation for Brian Storm.
Second.
Second by Mr. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes 8-0. Is Brian here by any chance, or maybe he's watching at home? But congratulations.
Okay, moving on is approval of a memorandum of understanding. This MOU is for transportation accruals, so district administration and the Penridge Educational Support Staff Association have worked collaboratively to clarify language related to transportation accruals. The updated language will help ensure consistency and transparency in the accrual process moving forward. And Tara, you can jump in if I don't get this right, but the idea was to make sure that midday runs and after-school runs, that personal time was being counted. Did I get that right?
Correct.
Okay. So I make a motion to approve a memorandum of understanding between the Penridge School District and the Penridge Educational Support Association regarding transportation accruals.
Second.
Second by Mr. Cormack. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those against? Motion passes 8-0.
All right, and we have approval of Act 93 agreement. Again, district administration and representatives from the Act 93 group have been working together to update and clarify the language in the agreement. These updates are intended to better align the agreement with current practices and operational needs.
That was a motion.
Okay,
Yep.
motion to approve the amended Act 93 agreement.
No, I was just trying to get a second.
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 Third. Fourth.
Third. Mrs. Blount. Second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those against? Motion passes 8-0.
All right, and then finally, the much-awaited memorandum of understanding for EDR payments. Just some background here. Over the past 6 months, district administration, board representatives, and the Penridge Education Association have collaborated to review and align the district's extra duty responsibilities payment schedule with those of surrounding districts. This work ensures that our structure remains competitive and appropriately reflects the time and commitment required of staff taking on extracurricular roles. The updated EDR schedule also provides greater flexibility and establishes a process for regular review and adjustment of EDR positions to meet the needs of the district. So I make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between the Penridge School District and the Penridge Educational Association regarding extra duty responsibilities.
Second. Since I worked on it, I want to second it. So I did want to speak briefly on this because it was a long process, and one person we did leave out who happens to be here tonight is Mrs. DeVasta, who did a tremendous job putting spreadsheets together about and kind of did all the data crunching along with these folks who are already thanked. So, but I think we left you out on that, and I wanted to thank you because you did a great job. In addition to doing the pit and all the musical stuff, so I don't know how you do it. So, yeah, I think it's, we've said enough about it. This is long overdue, and we're doing the right thing for the school and for the kids, and so it's going to cost us some money. But not doing it just makes it harder to fill soccer coach positions and things like that. So it's a long overdue, and I'm proud that we got it done.
I just wanted to add something too. Just wanted to add that it was a pleasure being part of the EDR meetings. I was beyond impressed by the collaboration between the administration and the PEA representatives. The amount of work that took place to come up with what you're seeing now is immense. I do thank again the administration team, Mr. Dalbert, Dr. Palmer, Mrs. Mossman for your dedication to working through this with the PEA leadership, Mrs. Rayner-Smith and Mr. Valletta, to make it right for the staff and community members who have put in countless hours with their students in clubs, sports teams, etc., without being compensated properly. This update and new process moving forward is really a great move for our district. Thank you.
Other questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. All those against? Motion passes 8-0. Congratulations, everyone.
The next Personnel Committee meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, May 6th.
All right. Next up is, whoops, not board. Next up is policy. Leah?
Thank you. Thank you. We had our last policy committee meeting on April 7th. And tonight, up for vote, we have final read of 2 policies. I feel like we're probably going to want to do each one separately. So I'm going to start with the first one, motion to approve policy 235.1 surveys.
Second.
A second by Mr. Kaufman. Any questions or comments?
I just wanted to ask if there was any thought to the public comment on if it is just for the pays, then why not title that instead of including all third party? Since at this time we're not, if it gets to a point where there'd be another third party survey that the board would want the school district to do, then we could look at that then. And maybe that would also be something good for the community and there'd be discussion on it. So it'd be, just thoughts on that.
Yeah. Oh.
Leah, can you repeat that, please?
We'd write a separate policy for each survey.
No, I mean, I look at it as, right now we're only doing one. I also don't like to put too much detail in a policy where an AR would suffice. And it's still AR has to be, is something a board can object to. Gives it the flexibility, as most school districts don't put too much detail in their policy and leave it in an AR. So at this time, we don't see that, but I don't think we would write a policy and just restrict it to that, because then it takes 3 months if somebody wants to do something, and it takes a long time when it gives the administration the flexibility it needs. Do you want to add anything?
If I could comment, I appreciate that. As far as administrative regulation being more granular, when we talked about the pay survey in particular, I know there's been a lot of attention discussing this particular survey, and just to clear the record on a couple of things, it is not a compulsory survey. Just like any survey, anytime we have a guest speaker come to a school, we have a field trip, parents will have the option to opt their child or children out of this. Mr. Johnson has fully engaged the folks at PAYS. If you'd like to maybe speak about that, Mr. Johnson. We will fully review the PAYS survey. We'll make it available, sample questions available on the website before we administer this. We think we can extrapolate a lot of meaningful information from this survey, along with I think 12 out of the 13 other school districts in the county offer this. So just want to be clear that it is not compulsory. We will do our best to not lose instructional time. We think there's some meaningful information that will help us inform our practice. So Mr. Johnson, would you like to add a little bit to?
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Barrios. I think when you look at a survey like the PAYS, if we want to focus on that for a moment, there's 4 domains that the PAYS speaks to. It's community, school, mental health, and how kids and attitudes and beliefs about alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs. The information that you can glean from the PAYS and other similar surveys is important to our students and for our programming as administrators, teachers. You can really drill down to data specific to your school community. There are other third-party surveys as well, and I don't think it would be prudent for us to focus on the PAYS. Mr. Wurz spoke about it, Dr. Barrios spoke about it, and we spoke about it in specific committee meetings. However, I do think there is value, and as Dr. Barrios stated, I have engaged in different meetings with PAYS. We can post the survey online in advance of it. I think that's also important for the community to hear. So I'm excited, and I think we're excited as a district to move forward with the PAYS survey. And there are also, I think we should also consider the fact that if there are questions that make students uncomfortable, you do not have to complete every item within the PAYS, and it doesn't invalidate it. I think an added feature for the next administration of the pays is also skip logic, which essentially means that if a student answers no within a specific targeted area, it will skip the remaining questions within that domain. So Dr. Barris, those are my initial thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. And so I see value in the PACE survey. As a past life as a high school principal, we issue the PACE. It's every other year. And I support the PACE survey. So I just want to go on record. And again, it is not mandatory. If you don't want your child to take it, they cannot take the PACE survey. And we may, upon review of the survey, take a look at the 6th grade survey. We may omit that. We will do this in a methodical and deliberate approach for our students and community. Thank you.
Other questions, comments?
I intend to vote in favor of these changes to the survey policy tonight, and it comes down to a simple reality of intended versus unintended consequences. When the opt-in policy was brought in from an outside agency, it had the stated intended goal of increasing the voice of parents in their children's education, which is commendable. I think it's the board's job to go a step further in our decision making. It's not enough for us to simply think about our intended goals, but also the unintended consequences of actions we may choose to take. The unintended consequence of the opt-in policy is that to run any form of outside survey would become such a waste of district time and resources that we would not be able to use any such surveys that are brought in from the outside. Our administration has spoken eloquently at committee meetings about why the data from such surveys is so important for meeting the needs of the students in our community, as well as for securing grants to help defer the costs of supporting students in our schools. I believe our administration is deserving of our trust to use their discretion to select appropriate tools to ensure that parents are aware and have the opportunity to be informed if needing to opt their children out of items they feel do not align with the values of their family. And I trust them to go through it methodically, intentionally, and with good planning.
I would also like to make a comment. I am also voting for policy 235-1. In the past months, we have heard from our administration about the benefits of having the PACE survey, and we have received their support for the survey. We've heard that when we had the survey administered, parents were well informed about them on multiple occasions and were easily allowed to opt out their students. We have heard that when we had this survey, it was carried out during free periods in middle school, which did not take away any valuable instructional time. We have heard how the information collected from PACE, although anonymous, can benefit our schools as well as our community. Before the last board brought this policy into our schools, we administered the PACE survey. With the PACE survey, we were able to see if there are any patterns that would be helpful to our administration in understanding our students' behavior, which results in providing our students a better education. Like anything else, there will be parents that will not want their child to take this survey after they review it, and the district will always respect the parent's request. As before, the administration will again make sure parents are given ample time to read the survey and make the best decision for their child. In conclusion, our administration and staff will definitely be transparent to parents about this survey. Thank you.
So I just want to say that I support the passage of 235.1 and the administration of PACE. This policy strikes the right balance between protecting student and family privacy while still allowing our district to gather essential data that helps address some of the most pressing issues facing our young people today. The mental health crisis among adolescents is real and it's urgent. Recent PACE data shows that nearly 38% of Pennsylvania students report feeling sad or depressed most days, while 32% reported experiences with bullying. This is a staggering statistic and it demands our attention and action. As we were informed during a mental health symposium earlier this year, children as young as 6 have contemplated suicide. This wasn't due to a prompt presented to them on paper, but their own thoughts in moments of despair. Without tools like PACE, we'll be left to guess the needs of students or our children instead of responding with informed, targeted support systems that can make possibly life-saving difference. Furthermore, substance abuse continues to pose a significant threat to youth in suburban districts like ours. According to the 21 PACE survey, about 21% of 12th graders reported using alcohol in the 30 days prior to the survey, and around 15% reported vaping. As we all know, those numbers are probably underreported. These are not just urban issues. Although Upper Bucks County experiences lower crime rates compared to cities like Philadelphia, the risk to youth from mental health struggles and substance abuse are very real and are often less visible. In suburban communities where problems are often hidden behind the illusion of affluence or stability, PAYS provides a critical insight. It allows educators, counselors, and community leaders to understand what's happening in real time beneath the surface so we can act swiftly and appropriately. Without it, we risk failing the very students we're entrusted to serve. Supporting this policy and the use of PAYS means standing up for mental health, safety, and the future of our children. And that's why I support passage of 235.1.
I just have another question. For parents that will be opting their children out of the pay survey, how, and maybe this is something that will have to be like future, I guess, to address, but after the pay survey is taken and the administration takes data from it and decides what maybe they want to do with that or help to, whatever's going to be implemented after the fact, if parents would want those that opted their students out of taking the pay survey would not want them to be a part of whatever the implementation, is that something that could also be possible and forthcoming and just transparent?
Yes.
Love one-word answers. Other questions or comments? Yeah, I can hear you, Katie. Do you want everyone else to hear you?
Yes, yes, please. I just want to clarify a couple of things I've heard from some board members and some community members. PAYS does not divulge confidential information. It's an anonymous survey, and it is nearly impossible to de-identify a student based on their answers because of the large sample size that is part of it and the number of questions. So I'm hoping we can put that to bed forever. It doesn't violate privacy issues. It doesn't violate confidentiality because it is anonymous, and you cannot re-identify a student based on their answer. I hope everyone heard that. And then second, when you opt in versus opting out, you get very different data. And it's been found that opt-in data tends to be a bit more biased and not truly representing the student population, and much smaller, obviously. And PAYS is reliant on the larger database, which is why opt-out has been and continues to be the best method. Finally, I've been a parent in this district for a while, and before the previous board eliminated PAYS without really understanding it, I received multiple emails explaining PAYS results and different presentations that were being offered to students and families based on what we were seeing in our PAYS data. So I'm not sure how you could be a parent in our district and not understand how the PAYS information has been used. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? All right. Let's we do a roll call vote on this too, please. All right. We did have a motion in a second. Yeah,
Ms. Patisky?
No.
Mrs. Bongren?
No.
Mrs. Jenkins, not here. Mr. Cormack?
No.
Mr. Coughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Merkel-Gum?
Yes.
Mrs. Thrash?
Yes.
Mrs. Serrano?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And Mr. Wirtz?
Yes. Motion passes 5-3. Hold on a second. Next one.
Thank you. Next up is motion to approve motion for final approval of policy 338, sabbatical leave.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gum. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those against? Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you.
Next.
The next policy committee meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, June 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving right along to the IU report. I discussed it earlier in the president's report. I encourage you to read the attachments that are on the agenda. It really gives a good overview of all the services that the IU provides to students throughout the district. You are familiar with what they do. It does touch a lot on special needs, and they also do a lot of different things that we benefit from. Of course, we share in the cost of paying for that, and that's why at the last meeting, they were very concerned and asked for everyone's help in advocating for making sure that the funding continues for the IU. Head Start employs over 70 or 80 people, and not knowing that the funding is continuing is not normal and is worrying a lot of people there. And I've never seen them push like this and asking for help. So I take it very seriously, and obviously making up for the distance. If we, in one situation, they already are shorted $800,000 and are not guaranteed payment of something that was approved from the original ESSER's funding. So that money has been cut off and they have no status on it. So it is a serious issue for them, and I take it very seriously. But once again, I encourage you to read those reports. They really give you a good idea of what's going on. It's better than I can explain it, just sitting here talking about it. Next up is public comment again. The only one signed up twice was,
Hold on.
Tech school.
Oh.
Skip some things.
Oh, sorry, you're right. I turned around 2 pages away. The next IU board meeting is scheduled for Monday, May 20th. Sorry, moving along. The Upper Bucks County Technical School. Mr. Cormack.
Ron, you can't forget the tech school. Real fast, and trying to go through this quickly, we had some excellent results from the 2025 Skills USA competition. We have 6 individuals that received silver medals. Kaylee Nugent, Baking and Pastry Arts from Quakertown. Jolie Mott from Cake Decorating from Penridge. Alex Elringer from Cake Decorating from Quakertown. Megan Marmouche, CNC Technician from Penridge. Jacob Steinfeld from Quakertown, CNC Returning Specialist. And Tanya, I'm going to get this wrong, Udua, she was from Penridge and Employee Application Process. So that's for our silver medalists. Our gold medalists: Abigail Ryder, Cosmopolitan from Palisades. Sarah Motisha, Related Technical Math from Quakertown. And last but not least, Leanne Kiger from Cosmetology from Penridge. So we've got some great people going to nationals, and all 3 school districts are represented. So I think that's a great move for the tech school. Our graduation is June 2nd at 6 p.m. We have a rain date of June 3rd, 2025 at 6 p.m. And our next meeting is April 28th, 2025.
Thank you. Moving on is the Penridge Area Coordinating Committee. Right.
Yep. Thank you. The committee met on April 24th. Some things of note to talk about was, again, the reiterating the need for volunteer first responders, firefighters, EMS. Each one of the municipalities would love more volunteers. And we all know what that means for our homes and our home values. And eventually, if they need to consolidate firefighting units, etc., it could result in increases to homeowner insurance in the area. So highly recommend people to volunteer if they see so fit. Another issue that was brought up was the municipality signing a resolution to send to support the reimbursement directly to ambulance companies from insurance companies. Some insurance companies send that money to the insurer, and the ambulance companies don't always see that money back. So they are signing a resolution to push, to reinforce a bill that's being passed that has insurance companies pay that money directly back to ambulances. And I feel like that's probably it. There are some new things going up in Silverdale soon, about 51 townhomes. And I spoke with them again around the best places to get information around new developments. So I have some information I'll be sharing with Mr. Dahlberg too. And when I spoke to them about what was going on in the district, I talked to them about the budget, about the resolution. Then there was an interest in seeing the resolution, if and when it passes, because again, this impacts everyone. It impacts everyone in the municipalities also, and they're in the same boat where, income development is plateauing a little bit, the same as we're seeing, and they know it impacts everyone, not just people who have children in the school, but everyone who lives in this community if unnecessary burdens applied to the district. The next PAC meeting is scheduled for May 22nd.
Thank you. Moving to item number 15, PSBA. First up is a motion to approve Mr. Ron Words and Ms. Carolyn Sherino as voting delegates for the 2025 Delegate Assembly on Tuesday, October 21st at the Kalahari Resorts and Convention. The PSBA is the Pennsylvania School Board Association. We are part of that. We pay a fee every year, and they advocate for school boards and give us advice and all sorts of policy rewrites and many things. So we get to have 2 votes for that. So that's it. Is there any questions or comments on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? The motion passes 8-0. On the second item, I want to change this motion. Make sure I'm doing this correctly. There's an error here. So the motion is to approve Mr. Ron Wers, Ms. Carolyn Sherino, and Mr. Gump, to attend the 2025 PSBA School Leadership Conference in Kalahari Resorts, October 19th through 21st, and they elected to update the. So is there any other questions or comments on that? So it's 3 people. We are allowed to send 3, that's what really. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those against? Motion passes 8-0. Now, moving on to old business. Is there any old business? New business. Any new business? Now I'm caught up. Now, back to public comment. Skip those pages. We have 1 person signed up for end of meeting comments. That's Laura Foster.
Hey, Laura Foster, East Rock Hill. Well, since you're into quoting what President Trump said, you might stop packing up your bag and pay attention for a second, huh? Also, on January 29th, Trump gave the executive order of expanding education freedom and opportunities for families resolution. I don't know if you heard about that. This pushes for federal voucher programs that divert public education funds to private and religious schools, and this is a directive given to the Department of Education. So if we're all about supporting Trump, why don't you tell us where you stand on that one? Know that this is already being pushed by the states. Jeffrey Yaz, who's the wealthiest person in Pennsylvania, is also the biggest funder of political campaigns in Pennsylvania. His sole goal is to privatize public education. Guess who receives majority of their funds from Jeffrey Yaz? one of our local legislators, Jarrett Coleman. So Christine, if you're in the space that we should be talking about people in the state, maybe you should meet with Mr. Coleman and ask him about his stance with. I'm one of the co-founders of United Bucks, Upper Bucks. It's a group of indivisible. And I met with Mr. Coleman not too long ago about this. He openly states that he pushes public funds to charter schools. So this is right in our backyard. This is something that you could easily advocate for. You know what? He's also on the Department of, on the Education Committee for Pennsylvania. One of Coleman's employees is actually here right now if you wanted to talk to him and ask him some questions. You could get some more information. You gotta stop this kind of like dumb act of like, we gotta do things locally. Do it then. Go to Coleman's office and ask him. Ask Stats, he's on the Education Committee too. Ask him where he stands on these things. What exactly are you doing to protect public education? You all need to stand up and start taking a stance against what's happening and stop pretending like this is something that's some ethereal space that's just up in the federal government that's not impacting our schools right now. Also, all of you need to have a deep understanding of the fair funding lawsuit because that deeply impacts Penn Ridge. And to know how much money that is available to Penn Ridge through it, all of you should be advocating for that every day. How do you do that? Christine, guess what? You talk to the state senators about it. You talk to Shapiro's office about it, and you ask them to start giving us our fair share of the fair funding. Do you know how much money Penn Ridge would get? Yeah, look it up. Thank you.
Announcements. Announcements. The school board event and conference under all the rest of it is on the about the exec sessions. I'm not going to read it all because it's late, and you can find it all on the agenda, and there's a bunch of different things that we read about, but I'll leave it to you on that. Anything else?